Yeah, those last sound effects were provided by Cam. This is Cam's Varied Week, episode number 2. I want to start this off. There are a lot of things I want to start this off with, but first and foremost, shout out to Anchor, who is not a person, which is a service, got me on listening only podcast services for within an hour of me posting this. Within a couple hours, maybe. I think Spotify was within the hour, but the other ones, I posted it right before I went into my work shift of work, place of business. Expecting, maybe in a couple days I might hear something back. Maybe. That's optimistic of me. I was really thinking maybe 3 episodes I'd get something like, oh, you're finally on Spotify. Neat. One at a time, just knock them down. No. Anchor's like, hey, you're on Spotify right now. And then they followed up with Google Podcasts. There was, Shark. There's some other ones that I don't know. Apple Radio is not among them, but who cares about Apple? They got enough going good for them. They don't need this diamond in the rough, I guess. I don't know. It's not that rough. It's pretty safe around here. So, diamond in a square. Like one of those cases where it's just a diamond. It's like, oh, that's a pretty diamond. I'm like that. But it's a beat up diamond. It's not a museum quality diamond. Just a really poor guy found a nice diamond in his mind. And I was like, I'm gonna keep this on display. That's me. Thanks, Apple. I'm not gonna swear yet, but I got 3 swears coming. Apple's not good enough for it. Anyway, so that's one of the things to start this off. Number 2, shout out to Bobby Brady. I'm saying Bobby Brown all morning. I look nothing like Bobby Brown, but I look alarmingly like Bobby Brady from Le Brady Bunch. French, I think. It's something like that. I was really focused. It's not quite the checkered shirt he had in the first picture. They'll both be there again, or wherever. But I was more drawn to the first outfit rather than green stripes. So, sorry. I like yellow and blue, but not a combo of the two. That's how it goes in the Cam household. So there are those out of the way. Thanks, Bobby Brady. I hope we can have you on one of these podcasts someday. Next is, I briefly mentioned, I think, that my car was being fixed among my oven, and those are 2 things. So I had my car done, and while I was in the shop, I had to go through the nice public transit service, which is fun. I had subways running for 2 of the days, and then right in my little, there are about 4 stops I can walk to nice and easily. All 4 of those stops got shut down for maintenance or some stuff. Not a huge fan of it. And so I had to either A, walk farther, which wasn't that bad. It was like a 40-minute walk, which, not bad. On a nice day, that's a good time. But one day I wasn't really feeling it, so the other option was to take the provided bus service to the next, whatever it's called, next station up. And so, yeah, one of the days I just didn't feel like walking, and I didn't want to take the bus. I really don't like the bus, especially right now. Reinforced that, not even a fear, but disliking of the bus. And so, first day I was like, I'm gonna take a lift. I don't care. I don't want to do either of these. I did wait for the bus for a little bit on the first attempt, and it was so pointless. The whole time I was like, I don't want to get on the bus. Even if it comes, and if more than 3 of the people I was waiting with get on, then I was just going to be like, okay, I'll wait for the next bus. And there were 8 people waiting, so it was pointless. So I decided to take a lift the first day. Second day, I was like, I'm going to do it. I left nice and early. I went walking in the park. I read a bit. This was 3 hours before my shift. Then an hour and a half, I was like, fine, I'm going to tough it out. I'm going to go to... I actually initially was like, I don't want to do the buses. I'm going to walk up to that far station. The one that they had told me was the one I could ride up on the station without taking any kind of bus. But no, I walk, and I get there, I get to the station. There are buses coming and going, and I was like, dang, like, I hope those are all southbound. I was going northbound. Hope those are all southbound buses. A lot of them said southbound, so I was like, cool. I go into the station. I didn't even have to pay, which was nice. The guy was just like, no, just go down, just go down. I was like, cool, cool. Get down there, and I'm at the stop. There are trains on both sides. I don't know if you've ever been to a train platform before, subway platform. There are trains on both sides. It's crazy. Or there are trains in the middle, and you're on either side. But no, I was in a trains on both sides situation. So trains on both sides. I'm looking at one of them, and it says southbound, and it was the one running, and I was like, that's really strange, because it says the southbound, which would have hit the 4 stops that are shut down, was shut off. And I was so sitting there. It was the first train to come in, and I was like, what's going on? Talked to one of the workers there. I remember this man's face, all right, because I had a decent discussion with him. This was me going to work. I'm not trying to be late for work. So I talk to this guy, and I say, not much. What is this train doing? I thought the southbound was shut down. And he said, yeah, this station's shut down. Everything's through a bus here. And I was like, oh, I don't, like, everything was saying that this station was open if I want to go northbound. And the guy said, no, northbound, you got to go up a station and take a bus. I was like, damn. So I did not wait for the northbound train. That was my biggest fault. I did not wait for it. It said like 3 minutes. I was like, I could get on a bus, get to the mall on time. So I get on the bus, I walk up to the bus. No one was getting on the bus. That should have been another red flag. No one was getting on it, but I look, and it says northbound. I was like, okay, that's the direction I'm trying to go. I talked to the driver. Not, again, very simple conversation, much like the TTC worker in the station. I say, this going north? Can I, if I want to go to Yorkdale, which is the place I'm trying to go, shouldn't have said where, but if I'm trying to go this way, is that what I'm trying to get? And he said, yes, this is the way to go. He said yes. There was, it's one word, so I didn't imagine there to be a language barrier in that conversation. That is a correct response. So I was like, cool. Put my music on. I was in, again, this is a 40-minute walk away, so I was in not necessarily familiar territory. On the bus, pop my headphones in, and I'm like, and I turn the music on, and they're better than me, so I just kind of listen to that part. And I zone out. I'm just on the train, riding it. Well, I'm on a bus. I'm on the bus. I'm really not thinking about, there were like 5, I'm trying to think. No one got on with me, but then at the next, only one stop people got on, which was the next stop. And like 5 people got on. So again, I'm not like, my mind's not freaking out. I'm still just like, okay, this isn't the worst thing in the world. Still on a bus, but if I just keep my head down, I'll get there. It's gonna be the next stop. But again, he said 1 stop, and when I like got up, he said, no, only taking people on. So again, I'm sorry I did not cover that base when I got to it, but I went back, I just touched it, sir. Touched their base. Let me go home now. Yes, I was getting up to get off the, and he said, no, the next one, you want to get that. And I was like, okay. So I wait, watch people get on, and takes off. Then all of a sudden we start seeing things that I'm like a little more familiar with. I was like, okay. But it's at a point, there's a big area where you can kind of loop around. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're hitting it so you can go down and then hit that big loop. Because I don't know this part well. That could be the only option he has, or the best option. We had also been rerouted by police just because there was an accident. But that's normal. That happens sometimes. So I was just like, man, whatever. Also, keep in mind, I left an hour and a half early, so I'm not thinking about time. I figured this would just be like 2 stops on a bus trip. When I saw the police, I was like, this could be a little tough. But I still wasn't really thinking about it. So I was losing track of time, sitting on this bus. Well, all of a sudden, we're still stuck in traffic. We're moving slowly because of this accident. We're going, we get rerouted. And then, I start realizing more things about where we are. And I'm like, okay, this is strange. So then at the next, it wasn't even a stop. It was just a stop sign, stoplight. It was something that made us, stop. And I just went to the driver and I said, when are you turning around? Like, this is northbound, right? And he said, it's not northbound yet. I have 2 more stops. I was like, wow, what? What? And he just goes, yeah, no. We go down, and then I pick up and drop off at 2 more spots, and then I turn around and we become a northbound bus. And I just didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, well, I want to get off now. And other people had heard that, and they started hitting the thing. Because, again, it said northbound. So it's not like I was alone in this. Like, as soon as he said, no, we have 2 more stops, and then it's northbound, someone hit the stop requested. People are like, what did he say? What's going on? So that gave me a little bit of confidence. But again, I'm just like, I'm still going kind of nuts. Like, why? What are you doing? How do you mess up this bad? Both of us. We're both kind of in a mess up situation. And if whoever pulled the stop requested, actually, I kind of wanted to figure that out. Just because, like, it's not even like an actual shuttle bus. Like, he's not going to stop and pull over. He has a specific route to do, unlike like a normal shuttle bus where they're just going on a normal route around places. He's just like, I have to do these spots because of a time crunch, because of the train stations. So that was kind of funny. But again, I'm all flustered now because of the time crunch. And or not time crunch, but because I'm going the wrong direction. Then I look at my phone and I realize that traffic really ate up a bit of time. And now I'm about, I'm probably about 35 minutes away in a car. If I were in a car heading the right direction, about 35 minutes away from work. And I had about 15 minutes to get there, give or take. So I freak out because I gave work 0 heads up that there was a chance of me being late. Other than the day before, I was like a minute late with the lift. And I told them, all these routes are shut down. I'm going to try and do it better tomorrow. So if one of them wrote that down, good for them. They didn't, though, because I got to work, and they were like, what the fuck happened? So I go call work. I try calling work, 15 minutes before, and then no one picks up. This was a Saturday, mind you, given how busy the roads were. This is like one of the first days of reopening. So people are going nuts for coming and getting our stuff. So we're busy. No one's picking up. I'm essentially just giving up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be late. So I start getting the lift. As soon as I get the lift out, I finally get through. I don't even know if it was a manager, because it wasn't a manager who picked up. But I got through to somebody who picks up, and they're finally like, I'll just write it. I'll tell somebody that you're going to be late. This was 5, maybe 3, somewhere in that range, but not. It was right before work started. 5 minutes before work, 3 minutes before work. No heads up. I show up. I get the lift. Finally show up at, I think I was supposed to start at 4:30. I showed up around 5:45, maybe 6 o'clock. It was a fun day because the lift, again, had to pick me up, go south a bit, and then turn around and go north again. So he got stuck in the traffic I was trying to get out of. Very fun day. And then none of the managers wanted to, we were just too busy. So they're just like, I don't care about your excuse. Like, just go in. So not only am I frazzled, fun word, over some stupid TTC workers' mistakes, and also my own. I could have just stayed and waited for the train. But mostly their fault. Let's pin the blame elsewhere. And that, I don't even get to vent a little bit. I don't even get to be like, hey, what is going on? I just wanted to say it to a few people and be like, isn't that stupid? And they're like, yeah, that is super stupid. I'm sorry that happened to you. I don't care if they say they're sorry that happened to me, actually. I just wanted them to say that's stupid. Let's go find that TTC worker and go and not actually burn his house down, but, some kind of metaphorical, very close to that. Oh, I got so frustrated. But also, he's kind of just he was, my only justification because I did go back the next day. My car got fixed, and I was like, I don't have to ever do this again. And I didn't even have work, but I went to the station just to see, like, who the fuck that was. Because, anyway, so I go to the station. He wasn't there. But, he probably, like most people, only had a shift or two to cover and then was off. So he was there on a rotation of some kind that I could not just predict. Missed him. Darn. If you hear this, TTC man, or see it if you're a YouTube fan, cool, thanks. But if you hear or see this, then goddamn you. That would be on TV somewhere, so you suck. But I made it, and you let me be an hour and some odd late for work, so kind of thank you, but also you suck. But yeah, so that was fun. Car's fixed now, and I no longer have to deal with the TTC. Let's knock on wood there. Now on to the next thing that I probably should have, I left myself almost no time to talk about. But the stand. Ooh, boy, did I talk way too soon. I read the book maybe a year or so ago, maybe a little over, maybe a little under, but around a year ago. So my memory on that was in some spots. Other spots it was pretty spot on. I'll give an example with Harold and with Franny. And, I mean, technically Mother Abigail, I was pretty spot on, but there was almost no reference. Sorry, Whoopi, you did a great job. You killed it in a lot of aspects, but I think you were set up for failure just with the writing. You could have been saved so many times. So, yeah, I'll just tackle that first, because Whoopi Goldberg did do a good job. She could have done a phenomenal Mother Abigail in a slightly different sense, if that's what the writers... It seemed like they tried to get that and then didn't keep that option in there. Because she wasn't, at least from my watching, I watched the whole, it was great. It's a good show. I don't think her age was mentioned. Yeah, till episode 6. That's why I've written down. The 6th episode, that's over halfway through. And then they say she's 108, and they said it like 3 or 4 times. So before, she was just implied to be the oldest living person after Captain Trips, which is the plague that wipes everybody out. Watch the show, read the book. It's great. Anyway, she does a phenomenal job, but they set her up, to be the oldest person, and then they're just like, no, she's 108. If she had just been like 80 or something, it would have been passable. 85, something like that. There were some scenes where she's sitting down like a normal person. I know that sounds weird, but like a 108-year-old person, watch them sit down. Watch a 90-year-old sit down. It's something where you're like, oh my god, help them. Grab, you got it, good job. But she was just like, right down. Small stuff like that. But yeah, she did a good job having Nick speak for her. He was deaf, so he didn't speak. He signed, wrote. Nick wrote in the book, but it helped a lot with like fluidity to have Franny understand sign language, so she could kind of be the voice. Anyway, yeah, they adapted really well, but it seems like they just screwed themselves with the last couple episodes. That's not the right thing to say. Just with the writing over the end of the whole show. I don't want to give any spoilers out. I don't think I will. I will. I'll just say skip to whenever I stop talking about the end. But anyway, some criticisms. Here are the more criticisms. Because they did a really good job with Joe, the small... Well, I think he's Chinese in the book. I don't know what he is, but he's a small orphan child that doesn't speak to anyone until Larry starts talking to him. Anyway, he did really well. Lloyd, the dark man, Randall Flagg's right-hand man, did super well. Yeah, strong performance throughout. Definitely, he was a tough role, but he did it. Yeah, he did it well. Nick Andros, the deaf guy, phenomenal. I mean, they had to change his starting story a little bit. They did a good job with that. yeah, they did a good job because it was set in like the 80s or something in the book. So they do a good job of bringing it into modern times in a sense. But they also, I don't know, they still kind of, and they do it in the book too, they kind of don't address how they just have electricity. Like, they talk about generators and stuff, but like, I don't know. They set up a whole community, so they just kind of, they're like, oh, we have electricity now. And I don't know. They kind of gloss over it. They do, never mind. I don't want to get into the electricity, because they have shutdown times and like off periods, and they use candles. So they do a good job. They just kind of, it's subtle. Whereas in the book, they kind of talk about it a little bit more, but it still gets carried away. Either way, that was good. Glenn was Greg Kinnear. Big name. I just didn't see that coming. But he did a good job. A little bit different from the book, but good differences, especially towards the end. Tom Cullen was, maybe I missed something in the book, because he was a lot older in the show than he was in the book. Even mentioned, I don't know, I wanted to say he was like maybe early 30s in the book. Maybe, but in this, he's 42. And it just, he did a really good job, but it was weird. Trash Can Man. Ooh, Trash Can Man. Albert, whatever. He was played by The Flash, Ezra Miller, I think is his name. But The Flash was terrible. I can't believe I didn't put a hat on. That is rough. Flash was not terrible, that's mean. But Flash was not my favorite in the Justice League. He was annoying, kind of useless character, really. Oh, hopefully the mic picked that up. That was a good hit one. But in this, super different role from the Flash, but he did well. He did very well. Kojak was Glenn's dog. I liked Kojak. Kojak did very well. Good boy, Kojak. And then Randall Flagg, the Dark Man. He's one of the Skarsgårds. I can't remember his first name, but maybe Stellan. Really good. Really good. I mean, the whole cast was a lot better cast. I can't believe I shat on it. We'll count it. Because it blew whatever I was expecting out of the water. The casting department overall, Nadine, I will say some of the adaptations were kind of weird. Nadine in the book had really dark black hair, and then it changed to that nice fine white, whereas in the show, Nadine kind of had, which was weird, she had roots that were dark, and then blonde hair from the get-go. That was day one, you saw her with that. And then she got all white hair. So it's just like, why wouldn't you, she could have just not had dyed blonde hair. She could have had, the regular hair. But otherwise, it was Amber Heard, so they did a great job of capturing the craziness in a female. And I don't know how they got her to sign into that role with everything going on, but beautifully done, casting department. Now, Stu and Larry, those are the two names. I think I was calling them Joe or Lou in the last video, show, episode, whatever. I got the two storylines combined just because of what happens towards the end and the fact that they're both on the good side. It's mostly told from the good side, primarily told from the good side. I don't know, good side, because there's evil and good. It's just good, bad, evil. The Allied, that's not... No, I don't know. The positive side. There's probably such a glaringly obvious word for it, but I can't think of it. But anyway, on the good side, Larry and Stu have very similar traits. They're different people, but I was thinking because Stu starts off in Texas, and Larry starts off, I want to say in like New York or Chicago or somewhere around there. So very different, but Larry is a musician, but he's a guitarist. And in the book, it's more implied that he's like country blues, kind of. And so since Stu is from Texas. I was like, oh, that's him. So I kind of, and since they're both good people, I kind of thought them, once they got to the town, I got their storylines mixed up. Yeah, I'm giving a lot away. There's going to be a skip to point. Anyway, they go through a lot, and then at the end there's kind of a trade-off in roles, and that's where I really mix them up in the book. And so that threw me off going into it. That's why I kind of referenced both of their storylines as the same one. So Stu and Larry, very different people, and I was thinking that Larry wasn't going to do well because he was, what's his face, James Marsden, and Larry was a kind of a druggy, whatever. I don't know who the actor was. Not keen on newer actors. Like, he's in, I can't even think of what he was in. I should have written this down. But he was in something recently. He's in a couple somethings recently, and I was like, seems good. He killed it in this, one way or the other. Other than the fact that he was a musician. He didn't play guitar until the fifth? Oh, yeah, third episode. Then he played really well, but it was just like, oh, what? Play the guitar, man. He teaches Joe the guitar, and he does that without playing the guitar, and that's where it's just like, wow. But then he finally plays the guitar, gets better. And then Stu. Yeah, Stu is such a much better fit for James Marsden. James Marsden is a clean, wholesome, cut guy, and Stu is exactly that, like a country boy, just doing the right thing kind of guy. And out of the park. Whatever, baseball, yeah, that's how baseball players swing it. Watch out, home runners. Absolutely phenomenal job by James Marsden. Franny was just a different plot line, but otherwise she did really well. Her face, Odessa, had a good, like, I'm so shocked face, because there were shocking parts in that. So good job casting her. Harold. This one bugged me, because Harold was supposed to be chubby. They kind of got rid of, I mean, they didn't need it. The kid was crazy as heck. Can't swear no more. But phenomenal, I'm going to say that a lot. Harold was just super scary. His eyes and his smile were eerie, which is what you were supposed to get. But he was supposed to leave a trail of baby Ruths that got Larry to follow them, along with he leaves graffiti. But he was supposed to leave baby Ruth wrappers, I think. It could have been Paydays, but I'm pretty sure it's baby Ruths. Okay. So that was pretty solid. He didn't do so hot in the end, but yeah, his whole plot line really well laid out. Other than they're modern, and again, I don't know if they got Stephen King to help with the writing and the dialogue for this, but they're talking between the kids at the beginning. I think it's episode, like, the first 10-15 minutes where you meet Harold. It's just so, like he falls off a bike and they're like, what are you, dead? It's like, come on, he's not, he just, like, it's just so frustrating. But otherwise, they do really well. They have dream sequences where in the book they kind of tapered off towards the end. And in this, yeah, they do the same thing. They kind of taper off towards the end, which is fitting to the book. But they at least do a decent job of capturing that kind of atmosphere that the dreams were setting, that everyone was having these dreams, that, like, everyone was kind of having their own variation, but they were otherwise very similar. The only tweak I have is that they were happening, and I gotta figure this out because it must have had ties to the last episode, but they were happening in a cornfield, whereas I believe in the book it was happening on a road, which, again, subtle differences, like metaphorically, it stands for different things, well, whatever. Anyway, standing on a road where there's, like, a fence on one side and then cornfields on the other side, like a fence of fields. So it's just a different setting, but, you know, it gives off, I would have liked to see that rather than just, I'm in a cornfield, because he just had that 1922 or In the Tall Grass, whatever it is. Change it up, man. Don't put everything in a cornfield. That's not the scariest place in a field. Sometimes it's in between the fields. There's nothing in front of you or behind you. What the heck's going on in this land, you know? So yeah, there's small changes I would have made, and also they added, yeah, I kind of gave it away, but they added something in the last episode. They only needed like the last, maybe, first like 15, 20 minutes of that last episode, which they could have sparsed into the other episodes, made it an 8-episode season. And it's not like they can reopen, like, I don't know. They could try and redo it, but it's just going to be the same storyline. But I don't know, people like that these days, so keep it up. Yeah, I think it did really well. I think it just could have cut itself just a bit short, not left itself open for a possible spin-off. Like, I don't know what that's gonna be. Doesn't happen in the book is the best. Something kind of happens in the book, but it's set up differently, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, I'd say read the book, watch the show. Preferably read the book first, but it's a long book, and it's a readily available show. So we'll see what happens. Now, I'll segue into what I think I'm going to be talking about next week, because it's been popping up a lot on my computer because I watch it. The NHL. There's a referee who was sent out for what I can only imagine is doing his job. I'm going to get more context because, here, I'll give you the pre-context. Maybe that's what Cam's Varied Week is going to be, where I say stupid things and then realize how stupid they were next week. But I don't think this is all that stupid. The referee took out one of the referees. I'm going to get his name wrong, but I think it's like Tim Peel or George O'Keefe or something. But they kick him out for a hot mic situation where, from, again, my understanding, it was in between or coming back from a TV timeout. I believe it was near an intermission or following an intermission. And the referee said, I need to call a penalty on Nashville. Something to that effect. I need to. Well, it just implied that he had to make a call against Nashville. Again, I'm going to come up with all the info next time. I just want to say that, in my opinion, that's what the ref's there for. He most likely got, if it's coming from an intermission, he probably, somewhere earlier in the game, put out a penalty, or one of his fellow officials called a penalty on not Nashville, whoever they were playing, where it wasn't, maybe after replay, which they see a lot of these days, he saw that was not a penalty, that maybe gave the other team an unjust advantage. Maybe they got a goal on the power play, and now calling the penalty doesn't necessarily make things right. But you think if it's a non-call penalty that was called, then the refs had made an interference of the game unjustly. And so if they just even it by giving and again, it's not right, but they give an unfair penalty back, then it's an offsetting situation. Now, I'm not saying that all referees do this, or that it's a part of the game and should just go on. But I'm saying that that's definitely not a taboo topic with referees, and I don't think that he should be fired just because his mic was on. That is getting said, by probably more than half of the referees out there. I would say they're doing something similar, saying, that was kind of a non-call, Greg. We gotta see what we can get going the other way. They scored on that. We gotta that was kind of bad. Or I saw it in I forget who was playing. I think it was Tampa Bay. But there was an offsides call where the ref just didn't call it. It was a live situation. He should have called offsides, but the pucks kept going, and it was too late. He couldn't blow the whistle. The play just kind of kept going. It was, it didn't really affect anything, but you could hear him as soon as it happened. He goes, "Oh man, that's coming back." He knows, the refs know when they mess up and they do something wrong. And I'm not saying that they try and then change the game, but if they see that situation pop up again, if it's going in the other team's direction, he might just lay off the whistle again. Just because that happened to one team, they can't, unfortunately, he can't then call it just because he realized he missed it. And again, he's a ref, he's allowed to make the right call, but I think that if that was a situation where there was a bad call, and he realized there was a bad call, saw it on the replay that's a bad call, and he's just kind of going, "Hey guys, don't," they probably missed the part where he's like, "Don't go for him, don't headhunt or anything, but, try and get a penalty. We're going to try and get a penalty on Nashville because they need to get one in the box, we need to level up." The coaches and the players' roles and conferences with the referees play a bigger part in the game than I think a lot of people think. And so the refs are definitely out there trying to call, the most accurate game possible, but they're also there to call a fair game. They want to make sure that any call that goes for one team goes to the other team too. So I think that's the stance the ref was taking. Tim Peel, he's been in the league for a while. I'll see how wrong I am, but I am saying these things with a bit of confidence. Yeah, there we go. Because that's just from my experience. That's what I think a referee would do. I don't think he's fixing the game. I think he is trying to level maybe his own mistake. So that's that. That's episode 2 of Cam's Varied Week. I will hopefully get this editing thing down so that the things that appear here don't... I guess it really wasn't that bad. It was more the blacking out in the screen and that I had to put. It kind of worked. I put my logo there. It was fun. But yes, I will get this editing nice and tippy-tappy. It's hip kid talk. And we'll see you around for episode 3, where I probably correct myself on Tim Peel. All right. That's his name. Happy birthday to those born on March this day.